Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I just want to do a quick run through of personal planets and outer planets, and I will be using this lovely model, which is a kid's toy to help learn the solar system, but I find it really cool and useful in terms of just learning astrology as well. Because after all, we do use the celestial bodies, the solar system, in order to study astrology. So this model is pretty cool. It does not have Pluto though. So we're just going to pretend that Pluto is here because I do include Pluto in Western astrology. So yeah, let's just sort of go through it, starting off with the sun. Now, the sun is the life force of the solar system. The sun is what gives all these planets energy. The sun is the main character. I sort of look at it as the manifestation of the solar system in a way, because when you think about the sun and your sun sign, that's literally the day that you were born, and that's when you become a manifestation, and you manifest onto Earth. Our sun essentially is the life force, the manifestation. Okay, planet. It's not technically not a planet; it's a star, but in terms of astrology, it is the main planet. Then we move next to Mercury, which is the closest planet to the sun, and Mercury is still part of the personal planets. It's so close to the sun that Mercury can only be one sign ahead of the sun sign in terms of transit, or one sign behind, if not the same. And you can see how close Mercury is to the sun. In terms of orbiting, it doesn't go very far. Okay. Moving on to Venus. Venus is the second closest sign to the sun, planet to the sun. And in terms of zodiac signs, it's either going to be two signs ahead, two signs behind, or the exact same sign. And again, you can see that Venus is pretty close to the sun. It's not going to orbit that far. Moving on, Earth. We all know that Earth takes 365 days to orbit the sun. It's not, we don't necessarily use the sun, Earth in astrology, because Earth is where we manifest it to. It's the embodiment of our manifestation. So we use Earth to be able to live and study the celestial bodies. Okay. But we do use Earth's moon, and we're just going to pretend that there's a little moon orbiting Earth. The moon is very fast. It's very personal to us because it moves through a sign every 2 to 3 days. So the moon is extremely personal. Next, we're going to move to Mars. Mars is also still personal because it's still really close to the sun. Not gone too far. And your Mars sign, I think it could be maybe 4 or 5 signs away from the sun. So yeah, Mars is still pretty close to the sun. So then we move on to Jupiter. Jupiter is what they call a social planet, and Jupiter is pretty far from the sun. It's sort of like in the middle, and it's what bridges the personal planets to the outer planets. It's our experiences that connect us in a way. And again, you can see that it's getting pretty far. The further we go down, it's getting further and further away from the sun. And then we have our Saturn, which is still considered a social planet, and still that middle, these two middle planets that sort of bridge the gap in terms of personal and outer planets. And then finally, we get towards the end to Uranus, which is definitely a generational planet, an outer planet. It's very far from the sun. And then Neptune, which is also very far from the sun, still an outer planet, still a generational planet. And then we're also going to include Pluto, who's not here, which is very, very far away from the sun. And Pluto is so far that it orbits every, I think, 248 years. So it's very, very far away from the sun. So that's just the basics, how we can interpret the celestial bodies into our astrological experiences in our chart. One of the things I did want to sort of go over too is the sort of difference, because like I said, the personal planets are personal to us. So that deals with more so our everyday experiences, our personal day-to-day lives, our personality. That's what the personal planets are. The outer planets, these are the inner planets as well. The personal and the inner are the same. The outer and the generational planets are the same. The outer planets is what we more so experience collectively. And the outer planets sort of, they coincide and they parallel the generation. For instance, we can look into Generation X. Generation X, they were born from 1965 to 1980, and they are the Pluto and Virgo generation. Okay. I think Pluto and Virgo, Pluto and Libra, that is Gen X. Millennial like myself. We were born 1981 to 1996. So we are the Pluto and Scorpio generation. And again, I'm using Pluto because that's important in terms of our experiences as generations, even though it's not included here. It still is effective in terms of astrology, and it still can put a marker on the generations and our experiences as generations through what happened during those times and even what's still happening right now. Gen Z is 1997 to 2012, and Gen Z is Pluto in Sagittarius. Yeah, Pluto in Sagittarius. That's Gen Z. And then moving on to Gen Alpha, they are 2010 to 2024. That's Pluto in Capricorn, and these like more recent Pluto transits and stuff that we can actually sort of remember. We can remember the Pluto in Sagittarius, kind of the Pluto in Capricorn. And of course, we are now living in Pluto in Aquarius, which is the generation beta. And these are the babies that are being born now, and they're going to grow up, and they are from 2024 to 2025 to 2039. So yeah, this just gives like a quick view understanding of the planets in terms of personal, generational. You can see here how close the personal planets are and how far the outer planets are. And so yeah, I hope that helps give sort of some understanding more about how we even understand astrology and how it correlates to us planetary wise. And I guess we could just do a quick overview of what sign belongs to each planet, since we're already at it. Of course, the sun is Leo, the moon is Cancer, Mercury governs, this is Mercury, it governs Virgo and Gemini, Venus governs Taurus and Libra, Mars governs Aries, and in the traditional it governs Scorpio too. But Scorpio also governs, in the modern it governs Pluto. Jupiter governs Sagittarius, and also in the traditional it governs Pisces. Yeah. But in the modern, Neptune governs Pisces, Uranus, and all the I think all the outer planets, yeah, they have a modern ruler, of course. Saturn rules Aquarius and Capricorn, Uranus rules Aquarius, Neptune rules Pisces, and again Pluto is Scorpio. So yeah, that wraps up the video, and I'll be back with another one. Thank you.